Hello, learners. Welcome to this exciting session. Your journey to mastering research projects starts right here. Today, we'll explore key guidance for your postgraduate research project. We'll cover important steps and tips to help you succeed. Let's get started and make this a valuable experience for everyone. Now, let's look at what this chapter really does. This foundational chapter is all about introducing your entire study. It's like the roadmap that outlines what your research project is all about. It provides a complete overview of the scope and purpose, setting the stage for everything that follows. Essentially, it helps your audience understand the context and importance of your work right from the beginning. By clearly laying out what you're studying, why it matters, and what you aim to achieve, this chapter helps create a solid foundation for the rest of your presentation. In this chapter, I want to give you a clear picture of what my project is all about before we get into the detailed parts. Think of it like a roadmap that guides you through the entire research journey. We'll start by defining the scope of the study, which includes the boundaries and the main focus areas. This helps us stay on track and ensures we're all aligned on what's being explored. Next, I'll briefly touch on the research methodology I used, how I gathered and analyzed the data, so you understand the approach behind the findings. We'll also discuss any limitations or constraints I faced along the way, so you're aware of potential gaps or challenges. Finally, I'll introduce the plan for how I organize the chapters, what each section will cover, giving you a sense of the structure of this entire presentation. And of course, I'll mention some additional components that support the project. All in all, this chapter sets the foundation, giving you a comprehensive understanding of the scope and structure, so you're well prepared as we move into the more detailed parts of the research. When organizing the review of literature, I found it most effective to arrange the studies either thematically or chronologically. This approach helps create a clear flow and makes it easier to see how ideas and findings developed over time or across different topics. It's important to note that I always presented these studies in the past tense, referring to the research as completed work. This maintains clarity and consistency throughout the review. In total, I included between 35 and 40 research studies to ensure a thorough and comprehensive coverage of the topic. Incorporating this number of studies allowed me to capture a wide range of perspectives and findings, which strengthened the overall review. As I discussed these studies, I connected key points to the overarching theme of my presentation. This helped to demonstrate how each piece of research contributed to understanding the subject better and supported my overall argument or research question. So, by organizing the literature either thematically or chronologically, presenting studies in the past tense, and including a substantial number of references, I aimed to create a well-structured, credible, and engaging review that sets a solid foundation for the rest of my presentation. Now, let's look at the statistical software and theoretical frameworks that will guide our analysis. Choosing the right tools is essential for accurate and meaningful results, so I'll explain the options we considered and why they fit our study. Next, we'll discuss the number of participants involved and the justification behind that choice. Determining the right sample size is crucial to ensure our findings are valid and generalizable, so I'll walk you through how we arrived at our number. We'll also cover the sampling methods we used, such as random, stratified, convenience, or other approaches. Each method has its strengths and limitations, and selecting the appropriate one helps us obtain a representative sample. Moving on, I'll describe the different sampling techniques, including surveys, interviews, observations, and experiments. These methods define how we gather our data and influence the insights we can draw. Then we'll look at the data collection methods, whether primary or secondary data, qualitative or quantitative. Understanding these distinctions helps clarify the nature of our data and how we analyze it. Next, I'll explain the type of data we collected, such as experimental data, survey responses, case studies, or other approaches. This classification shapes our analysis strategies and interpretation. Finally, I'll touch on our overall research design. This chapter outlines exactly how we plan to conduct our research, ensuring that every step aligns with our objectives and maintains rigor throughout the process. All these elements come together to form a comprehensive methodology chapter, which is essential for transparently explaining how we will achieve reliable and valid results in this study. This chapter really represents the heart of your work, so it's important to approach it with care and precision. Here, you'll need to explain what your results actually mean within the context of your research. It's not just about presenting numbers, it's about interpreting what those numbers tell us about your study. Think of it as translating your data into insights that support or challenge your hypotheses. Whether you're using statistical methods or qualitative analysis, the key is to carefully examine and understand what your data reveal. And when it comes to analysis, organizing your data clearly is crucial. Presenting it in a well-structured, easy-to-read table helps your audience grasp the main points quickly. Remember, this chapter is where your findings come to life, so take the time to interpret and analyze thoroughly, connecting everything back to your overall research theme. Now, let's move on to the conclusion. Here, I want to highlight some practical recommendations based on our findings. First, what can practitioners do differently moving forward? Well, our research suggests that implementing these specific strategies can significantly improve outcomes. Second, for future researchers exploring this area, there are exciting opportunities to investigate further, perhaps by examining new variables or expanding the scope of the study. Of course, it's important to acknowledge some limitations and gaps in our research. These insights point us toward areas where additional work is needed. So, to summarize the key results from our analysis, we discovered that pause for emphasis. The most significant outcomes directly address our initial research questions. Overall, I believe our findings pave the way for meaningful advancements in this field. They offer valuable guidance for practitioners and open new avenues for future exploration. Ultimately, this research contributes to a better understanding and encourages continued innovation, which is truly exciting for what's ahead. As we move towards the end of our presentation, it's important to remember that along with these 5 chapters, your project should also include a bibliography and an annexure. These sections are essential as they provide the sources you've referred to and any additional supporting information. Now, let's briefly revisit what we've covered so far. We started with the introduction, setting the stage for our research. Then, we looked at the review of literature to understand existing knowledge and gaps. Next, we discussed the research methodology, which explains how we gathered and analyzed our data. Moving forward, we explored data analysis and interpretation, where we made sense of the findings. Finally, in the last chapter, we discussed the findings, suggestions, and conclusions, tying everything together and offering our insights. This 5-chapter structure helps organize your project logically, making it easier for your audience to follow your journey from initial questions to final insights. Remember, including the bibliography and annexure at the end ensures your work is comprehensive and well-supported. Following this structured approach will really help you create a comprehensive and well-organized postgraduate research project. Remember, Chapter 4 is your largest section, so it's important to plan your time wisely to give it the attention it needs. Stay focused on your research gap throughout the process, as that's what will make your project stand out. Maintaining consistent formatting is also crucial, because it keeps your document professional and easy to follow. And don't forget to ensure that all your chapters connect logically. This flow will make your entire project cohesive and compelling. I want to wish you the best of luck with your postgraduate project. You've got this. Thank you for your hard work and dedication.